Hello guys, welcome back to the crew 2. Noob the Summit number 28. Bis in a way. Untamed Italians once again, because just like last week and next week, it's a repeat of a previous summit. Now, that being said, I'm a little bit pissed and frustrated with this one, because this is probably the worst summit that we had. In the whole bunch of batches that we had 2 batches so far, 26 summits in total. This was by far the worst that we had. The reason for that is pretty simple. There is so much crap going on in this summit, with being resets, with some wall riding here and there. Yeah, it is what it is. At the time when this thing was brought out, I even made a video on it because they wanted some proof on where exactly these cuts were and so on. We fast forward that to the devs. Now we are, I think this thing took place early July, and now we are 4 months later. They come up with the exact same summit, and these things are still not fixed, which also already suggests that apparently it's not their priority. They know there is an issue with resets and checkpoints and so on, but apparently it has to do with future summits, that they will take care of it for future potentially new tracks and so on. But I would like to see, together with me, a bunch of competitive players, would like to see that they also go back to the old tracks which are currently already in the game and take care of those resets and checkpoints and so on. But it is what it is. It's a repeat. We made it into gold, sort of as we said we would do, to give you guys a chance to win the Red Fury. Of course, it's just it's 2 cars out of 3,000 in a way. If I only go for gold, because I have 2 drivers, normally I would get the car. Also, that is of course something. Yeah, some people out there think, well, you know what? We have spent a lot of time and effort in it, try to get that car the first time. We're not gonna make it easy, and they are going for it again, trying to make sure that it's also not easy to win it the second time. There's not much you can do about it. That's called competition. The summit is a competitive format to begin with, right? That means that I don't know what the platinum score was last week. I have 1,118,000, and it's good enough for 4,445th. Which of course means that we win the whole whatchamadoodle here, except for the car. And we still get 175,000 bucks back. Not exactly sure why that is. Probably that's the price for the green tire, I'm assuming, which I already had, or whatever it is, tire that we won last week. Now this week it's the green tire, and the remaining parts for that drift set. The drift set, we just picked that one up. Also, that one is the same as before, which means that the hot hat is boosted, the slippery of course is not. If they would boost the slippery, then people would go slippery 16 or 18 or whatever it is that they boosted. Yeah, that would be a problem, because then people can score more points. That's why they haven't boosted the slippery. So it's hot hat 10 and slippery 10 as well, which means you have to recalibrate the slippery to 14 if you want to max it out. There we go. 4 parts this week, and then at the current summit that is running next week, when we get our prizes, we will get the remaining pieces. My god, my god. I really have to go over this list one by one of these cars. Being on the new PC, also on this driver, it has to load in all the cars again, because I had to re-download it, of course. Let's see, that was for drift. I will put them on the Nismo for now. There we go. Let's double check it. Yo. Slippery 10, hot head 10. So we have to recalibrate the slippery till you have it on 14. Not gonna do that now. I'm gonna save my bucks. And we'll see next week when we get the remaining 3 parts. Then we will recalibrate if needed. That's that, right. Bundle wise, let's have a look. Should be one available. Untamed Italians. The Ferrari F12 Berlinetta. The Lamborghini Veneno, because you need that in one of the races. In the combo event, I think it is. Because it's actually a street race track, but you do it in this hypercar. The Ferrari F12, not necessarily needed. You can as well use the Ferrari F40 if you have that one. And the Maserati Gran Turismo is definitely something we don't need, because we need an Italian car. And the Gran Turismo is definitely not the fastest. You can use the MC12, which probably will be the fastest. Ferrari FX6 will also be faster than that Gran Turismo. As long as it's an Italian touring car, you can use it on this track over here. Of course, just like last week, we're not gonna go for the car. We do not want that Huracan Performante because I got it on both drivers. I don't need it. So we're gonna go for gold again. We will do the same next week in the Flying Germans, which will also be a repeat. All the rest, don't worry about it. Those are placeholders. When the new Summit badge is loaded into the system, these 3 at the moment here, Sunshine State, Road Samurai and Player's Choice, will be replaced with the new Summits. Mixmaster, H2O, not sure what the third one is. Just a bunch of names, get a whole list, but I don't know if they posted that already or not, or if they would post it. People will find it anyway in the game files somewhere, or on the website files or whatever. They can as well post the whole list of Summit names, right? So, we have aerobatics. What did we do last week? We did one of the skill tests with a score breaker, the other 2 with a nitrochemist or something, and then all the rest we used a stock vehicle, and that brought us just under the platinum. The platinum at this moment is 1,072,000 points. That is pretty low. We have 9 events, we get 100,000 bonus. So yeah, if we put a little bit of effort into it, we're gonna score at least 100,000 points in all of these things. Then we already have 1,000,000. So we need to be a bit careful to not end up in the platinum without knowing it. We wanna do all the events, that's the idea here, but not get into the platinum. So we have to do a bit of math going along, I think. We will start with the escape, because that is already problem number 1 in this summit. We're gonna encounter a couple of problems in this thing. And this is the first one. There are a few options here. You can use a hypercar. This is like, this is the first example why this summit is not completely as it should be. If they would restrict this skill test to, let's say, a street race car or a touring car, or they can change it every week, then people could drive it and you would have way more fun, and it would be way more competitive in a way. You can use a hypercar, you can use touring car, you can use Alpha GP probably. Those are all possibilities. What we're mainly gonna encounter here is traffic, more than likely. So we will see. Let's see. Oh, these cars are still loading. Okay, I'm just gonna go over them quickly because there are still a bunch that need to load in. Otherwise, we're gonna have this every week. The reason for that is that only happens the first time, obviously. New PC, and I had to download that thing. I had to download Uplay, I had to download the game 2 times, because yeah, I have 2 drivers, so that means 2 games in a way. And then you need to go over all these cars so that they reload into the system, more or less. All the cars that you have. But I think we're almost there. Yeah, hovercrafts we haven't used yet. The planes are there already because we used one last week, that kind of stuff. That should put everything back, I think. Let's see, what do we have? Let's use the stock Alpha GP for one run. I'm gonna do it with a drag car as well because yeah, there is a particular issue here with this thing. What can we get with a stock car? I wonder. Not that much, I think. No more boost, that's already my first problem here. $3,800. Now, if you put some parts on this thing and put it at 340, you can keep on driving, and then somewhere at the end here you just go straight into the fields, which is about 6,200, 6,300 meters or something that you can get. Hello Lunar and Kogar. Of course, now we're gonna go a bit more extreme. This is one of the issues why they don't have it restricted. You're gonna get people turning into a drag car and do most of the skills that they can with the drag car. That is something many people already hated in the Crew 1. Has been fast forwarded. Was invited at a workshop somewhere in 2018. I already at that moment together with some others said like, listen guys, you need to take that in consideration for the upcoming game. Restrict these skill tests. For some reason or another they don't want to do it, going by the motto fun for all, which we don't agree on. At least part of the community doesn't agree on that. Fun for all on the whole map, completely agree, but not in a summit. The summit is supposed to be the competitive format next to PvP, more or less. You should not have fun for all and everybody should be able to play it. Yeah, everybody can play it, but they should not complain if they don't make it to the top 3000. That is how these things work, you know. It's a competition. If you are in real life in Formula 1, for instance, you're not gonna complain, oh, I can't make it because Hamilton always wins, you know. Yeah, get better. It's the same sort of here in this game, you know. If you can't make it into the top 3000, make sure you have yellow parts, make sure you have score breakers, make sure you have nitrochemist, learn the tracks, put time in it, put effort into it, and you get easily into the top 3000. If you don't want to do that, that is the choice that you make. But it's supposed to be competitive, although it isn't really. For instance, because they don't restrict it to this, which means that there are all kind of funny things possible. For instance, taking a drag car in the rain. That's gonna be funny. Put that thing in fourth gear. Settings, usually people wonder. I play on a keyboard. I don't even know if they're good settings, but it works in a way, you know. 10, 10, 10. The aero on 6. Yeah, normally I would go lower with the aero, but for this drag car I put it on 6. Otherwise that thing does not steer at all. 10, 10, 10 here. Brake power doesn't matter. We have no intention in braking much here. Brake balance, suspension pretty low. The camber for probably the only car in the whole game where I don't have a camber at 0, is this drag car. And that mainly has to do with for instance, an escape like this. If we just go for drag, you can put it on 0, 0 if you want, but and 9, 10 to make it as stiff as possible on the anti-roll bars. But it all doesn't matter that much. We're not gonna much steering involved here, because we're just going to slam into the barriers and wall ride the hell out of them. Something that, in a way, they have fixed pretty damn good in December, the wall riding. But then the kiddies were complaining on the forums that they slow down too much. So what they did was they sort of brought their, let's say, extreme fix, which was pretty good in some people's opinion. They brought it down a little bit so that it didn't slow people down that much. Result of that is that people are back into wall riding Huracans in PvP and also in every chance that they get. That has to do with, you know, not taking corner and that kind of stuff. We'll see how this goes in rain. Not so good probably, but we'll try it anyway. This is, oh, it's like the Noob driver Crusader. Yep, that's what I thought. Gonna be a bit of an issue here. The fact that it's raining and that the road is wet. But we're gonna try it anyway. People are complaining about traffic here on this track as well. Yeah, on this way not so much of a trouble, because if you're hanging against the barrier, you don't really have problems with traffic, right? Because they are more or less driving on the road. Probably gonna have to be more gentle with the throttle. But you basically go into fourth gear, you slam into these things. But because the road is wet now, I already see I heat up my tires. Thank you. Traffic loading last second is also a very interesting one. This is called a skill test, ladies and gentlemen. There's not much skill involved. You just the only thing you need to do is steer towards the barrier and make sure that your tires don't heat up, which they normally don't that much. Go into fifth gear here, but save your boost. You could boost in the beginning, that's a possibility. Then it might refill towards the end. That's possible. The big problem, of course, is here. Here the circle can catch you. If you have some issues, as you can see, it catches me here now. Mainly because of the road being wet. Normally you boost here, you can do 10, 11 kilometers. You can drive further on here and then do an extra jump over here, and then, yeah, that's sort of where it gets a bit tricky then. But then you are 9, 10, 11 kilometers, something like that. We'll go back to that later when it's more dry and do it again. We're gonna score about, let's see what I did on my other driver. 8,700 meters, scored 150,000. So yeah, that is that's already too much. In a way, we can only score about, we can get away with 150,000. All the rest needs to be 100,000 or less, otherwise we're gonna go into the platinum. So we're gonna do the aerobatics, but I need to check my planes. Because the last thing we want to do is take a score breaker here, because that would put us 153,000 is the maximum, I think, in this skill test. Because you basically are going to get 25,600. Yeah, this is no good. So we'll just put the loot digger on it or something. If we use the score breaker, yeah, we score 150,000 here as well. We cannot do that, seeing we're only aiming for gold this week. To not win the car, give you guys a chance to win it again. This is, I think, gate number 2. and gate number 5 or so are a bit tricky. Other than that, it is what it is. Meaning a gate that you have to go through where you need to go a perfect score. This is the tricky one, where you can get some wind under it. But yeah, the difference of course is with a score breaker and skilled maxed out, you score 2700 instead of 1000 points here. That's a bit of a tricky one. We didn't have it, I think, perfectly at least, but 1050 we score, plus 200 points for the perfect thing. And the next one is this one, is also that's also a tricky one. And then we have 2 more over here, and then the finish, right? But yeah, that is the thing with these score breakers, of course. If you don't have one, it's the time to fly around. We have the Halloween event going, where you can get better grades. My god. What also helps is don't remap your buttons like I did. Then you're pressing lean backwards instead of lean forward. We also have more than enough time. You get 2000 time bonus as long as the clock is more than 10 seconds. Even with this plane here, 12.5 was definitely not a good run. But what it is with the score breaker is that we score 1050 now. If you have a score breaker, that's double. That means 2000 points. And then if you have the skilled on it as well, couldn't catch me again. Then you score 750 extra. So instead of 1000, you score 2750 on every gate. I don't have it again. Almost. Usually you have to tap the rudder like once or twice for the second gate. We got the gate now, but it was not in the middle, so we didn't get the 200 points. But other than that, so we might missing 200 points. So we are missing 200 points, so we can score about 12,000 with a nitro chemist set on it instead of a score breaker. Because the first gate we missed 200, so 12,000 is the maximum we can score. Even that is 106,000. I need to stop it here, otherwise we go too high. So yeah, it is a huge difference having a score breaker or not. It's less than half, obviously. The slalom. Let's go there. Here you have 2 options. You can go for the easy way, and the easy way means that you're gonna go for the vector. That thing turns. We have an 180 degrees corner again, and yeah, that means this thing turns way better. We do not brake on this thing. We don't have any parts on it, that's very good. Then we can do a run with this. We just lean backwards the whole time. And then we come towards the 180 degrees corner, and the only difference that you do there is you lean forward. Because we don't have any parts on it, it doesn't make that turn. If we have parts on it, it will make the turn. But in the stock car, you might have to slow down, right? But it doesn't matter because we're gonna do another run. But this is the easy way with the Vector. The Vector maxed out 250 parts on it. Don't even need a score breaker, but it will just do this thing, not a problem. Settings that I'm using on that thing. Drift assist on 10, and then we have 0, 8, 10, 9, 9, 8, more or less. That works for me on that Vector. Then we go to this thing, a bit of a different problem. Because yeah, this thing doesn't steer that well. So it's a bit more tricky to do it 180 degrees with this thing. So we're gonna have to change some settings more than likely. I use a few settings on this browser. This is sort of the setup that I do for boy smashing. That means drift assist on 10, 0, 10, 10, 10, 4, and 8. Now, if we're gonna race, then I change the drift assist to 5. I put the hull friction on 8 and the trim traps on 6. That's sort of, if we do a time attack or so, then I do it with this setup. This time we're gonna go drift assist on 10. We keep the rest as it is, 0, 10, 10, 10, and we bring the two last ones here, hull friction and trim tabs on 5. We have this thing maxed out, so I need to check what parts we have on it. We have the Nitro Chemist set on it, it's perfect, so we don't get score breakers, we will not get high scores. So, let's see. Might have to do a few runs to get used to it again. Here it might drift away a bit, then you just tap the lean forward there. But as you can see, you can turn here now. Of course we lost the multiplier because we missed that one gate. And it also should be fast enough to get around 10 seconds here at the end, gives you the 2000 time bonus, right? Late. Steer too late. There's one gate though where you need to be a bit careful. And that's this one over here. You need to be pretty close to it or it might not count. Bit towards the left. If you go too much to the right there, then you have a problem. Oh my god. Doing too late again. Like I said, you need a few runs with this thing before it actually reacts sharp enough. There you go. One steer to the left, one steer to the right. Not steering much, just like tapping it. Because it starts drifting quite a lot. Like here, you lose it on the stupid drift that you get from that boat. Wait. With a score breaker, you can score, if you have a decent run that is, 27-7 something. Now I tapped the trunk again. more like it. Yeah, that's the other problem that came along at certain update. We have other players, and you do not goes with these other players. Nope, you just ram the hell out of them if I would have just kept the throttle on there. It's one of those wonderful ideas that they had. Well, as a matter of fact, in the beginning we did not have the players there. That was not supposed to be like that, so that probably was a bug, I think. They didn't say it with that many words, but that's probably what it was. Told you we need a few runs. Multiplier still on 2, so we're good to go. $11,799, so we can probably do 11.8 or so with Nitro Chemist. 11.8, 11.9, 12,000, sort of like with the aerobatics. Oh my god. Even with the Nitro Chemist set, you scored 132,000 points. This is becoming more and more of a problem. We already have too many points, in a way. From the skill test, you want to have, if you will go for gold and you want to do all the events, you need to have about 350,000 maximum. Which is a bit of a problem, because we already have 380,000 almost. Okay, we'll have a look. Let's go back to the escape. The weather has dried out now. Let's see what we can do. So the escape is sort of the only thing we're gonna do. Like we normally would do it, like to get the best score possible, that kind of stuff. Summit score, that is. We can get something like 8,000 meters, it's fine. Which we should be able to get if we don't have too much trouble with traffic. Yep. Thank you very much. That kills it. If you hit whatever car or truck, like we did now, you can go into this corner, but then the circle catches up very quickly. This is the critical point here, and it will catch you. So we have to go again. But yeah, you get already the idea. You just slam it into the barrier. If you do it with such a way with the nose, you steer away from that barrier when you hit it. It just takes the corner. It's nothing to do with skills. This has to do with developers not restricting the skill tests to certain disciplines. And then you have all kind of stuff happening with dragsters. Nice. Little bump. It's one of those where you can get very easily frustrated. You have traffic, you have other players, you have a track which is not the most smoothest. because you have some jumps, we have some hills. We have Devo people who cannot take a turn. That kind of stuff, that's what you're going to encounter here. You always have to pay attention to the white bar as well. Don't want to heat up your tires, as I just did. Other than that, it's yeah. If you can avoid traffic, you should be able to get away out of that last corner there. But I had to slow down already 2 times because my tires were heated up. Possibility number 2 is you just boost here and fly into the field. You can score around 6,000 meters here something. But of course then you go off-road and you lose all your speed, so even with a Formula 1 car it's probably the best way to go, because with the Formula 1 car you more than likely will not be able to make that turn. Just need one smooth run, then you have 8, 9,000, 10,000, depending a bit what's happening behind the hill there, if you run into trucks or not. Unbelievable. It was raining, we got away here, but you see what's happening. Something is gonna drop from the sky. Rain again. That's how you heat up the tires if you have to go, like now I had to avoid traffic, so I flew straight into that barrier. That's where you heat up your tires. You want to get a little bit of an angle. This is not a good run because traffic is ruining it for us, and it's raining again. Oh, nice. This is sort of the moment where you boost. What did we get here now? 6,600. You can of course boost, but I think that's a waste though. You can boost before the start and then it probably will refill towards the end. So then you can use the boost twice. Something like that. I already start in 4th gear here to not heat up the tires, but yeah, tires are always going to be an issue as it is when the road is wet. Another one of those things. It's beautiful, the weather, yeah. Keep it, Mr. Fergus. I do not need it. Just give me an option to put the summer on the whole time. So far so good, it's a pretty okay run. Didn't heat up the tires yet. Oh yeah, of course. Did not heat up the tires, then they put a truck and a car next to each other. Yeah, you can't spend too long on here because then you're gonna start throwing with things. Because then you finally have a decent run going, and then they put like a car and a truck next to each other. You cannot go in between, so you have to go It's not that I do not see the cars, but of course you do driving in a drag car, that thing does not reacting. If you react too fast, you heat up your tires, so you can only react slowly and try to not heat up your tires. Okay, should be fine. At least for the first barrier. 6,500 RPM are my tires. That's a better story. Buses, trucks, it's not looking promising. Because then you have to go too hard in that corner. Seriously, stupid traffic. We lost the momentum already in that corner there. Stopped raining, so it was a short range hour this time. That's more how you need to you need to have high RPMs, but pretty tricky to get it on a wet road. Stupid traffic. Not gonna make it easy on us the R day. Truck every time on the wrong place. See you, red circle. Oh yes, nice. Always something. Over that hill there we need to be. Then it will be like 9 or 10,000 meters, something like that. But yeah, it's fine. 147,000. That will do. Because otherwise we're gonna go up too high. Yeah, finishing with style, yeah, sorta. What is at the moment the record? 10, 6, 7, 8, it's not as high as it can be. The last time people are scoring almost 11,000, I think. 10,700, 10,800, something like that. So it can go higher. But it's total bullshit. It should not be able to do this with the drag car. Should not be able to well ride. If they would just restrict these things, like they do here in the street race, for instance. Restricted to Ferrari, then you can't do this with a drag car, right? Because Ferrari has no drag cars in this game. For instance. But no, they don't. That's the main frustration that I have with this whole summit thing. That would change a lot if they would just give us a certain discipline or a specific brand or something that we can only use that week. That would make it way more interesting, in my opinion. Which leaves us with 562,000. And we always have to keep in mind that 100,000 bonus if we finish everything. So we already have 662,000. That's a bit of a problem. So we have to go stock for the rest of the events, for sure. And probably with some very, very bad cars or so. Something like that. Yeah, like here we have no choice. We have to go with the Veneno. Because it's the only thing we can use. Let's see. Do we have parts on it? I hope not. Yeah, we do. That is... no, we cannot do this. We have to take off the parts. Or drive backwards. That's also a possibility. Back to the summit, please. We have to take off the parts. Why am I taking off the parts is, for those who are not familiar with the series, is because I already have the cars and I want other people to be able to win the cars. But we still want to do all the events to have a look on the events. Main menu is F10. So a way to do that is to do the rest of the events with a stock vehicle. And then try again. But I think we scored already a bit too much in some of these skill tests. I did not expect to get 130,000 points on that slalom without a score breaker. So that's gonna be a bit of an issue, I think, at some point or another.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, we're still on, of course, the weekly thing. We are still on manual after using the drag car. Not that it doesn't work, but I'm just not used to it. Already too much trouble trying to get the car to steer, that I'm not gonna get involved with manual shifting for proper racing. So I usually just put it on automatic. Except for drift and drag cars. Also here, lean forward. On these jumps you need to lean forward to put the car easier or faster on the road again. Nothing special here on this track, as far as I know. Yeah, you can avoid that jump if you would be able to use a bike here, which you're not allowed because you can only do it with the Veneno this week. But that is more or less a little cut possible there. You can drive next to the ramp on a bike. 97,000, that's more like it. That would bring our average a little bit down. Let's have a look. 484,000, right? With this, that's 584. We're gonna come up with some tricks, because otherwise we're gonna be in the platinum. What I'm first gonna do is change the thing back to automatic. Ferrari maybe. What is that? Coastal range to LA. Okay, that is problem number 2 in this summit. After the wall riding in the escape, we now have 3 possible reset cuts. 11%, 78 and 94% of the track, I believe. We will see how that goes. Yeah, I need to check my cars, because there might be some parts on those. Hopefully not. Oh, really? Delete, load all these street cars in, one by one. Ferrari, street race. Yeah, 2 you can use, I think. The F12 Berlinetta and the F40. We'll use this one. That's this stock. And the F12 is also stock. I can use both, whatever it is that we prefer. I will go back to the Veneno later as well, to for those interested in the settings that I'm using. What's the lowest that we have? Is the F40. Okay, we'll go with that one.
3, 2, 1.
AIs, yeah, they are here just to annoy you a bit at the start, as normal. Especially that Lamborghini thing. Since we are driving in a stock car, he might actually be able to catch up or keep up in our slipstream with this Huracan thing. But yeah, it is, as we say, a pet spot situation here. %, checkpoint. Brake a bit towards it, go left, jump down, and reset. You could already reset in the air there, put you right where you want to be, front of the next checkpoint. Cuts off a second or 2 or something like that, maybe 3 if you do it properly. Does it matter? Well, it matters for those who want to beat their friends and or some other players, or that's how the competition within the summit is taking place. And the summit itself is not competitive, but people make it competitive by trying to beat their friends and or their group or whatever. Here you can take the inside if you want. Works fine. Don't need to stay on the road there. Cut number 2 is here at 78%. You basically just drive straight. I don't know if we'll make it with a stock car. I think we do. It slides a bit. You reset somewhere on that hill. Just put you in front of the checkpoint. You take away the whole hairpin thing. But it is, in a way, it's bloody frustrating that even after reporting it myself with a video, that you repeat this summit 4 months later with the same bloody cuts still not fixed. New content is all fine, and that some of the things coming is pretty damn good, but they also need to have a look on the current situation, meaning tracks like this. Same situation here again, 94%, just jump down towards the checkpoint. Put the reset and it puts you there. In the next corner already, it will count the track as well. Three reset cuts in one track is just a bit too much, eh? And some of them can easily be solved by replacing the checkpoints. Or put some extra checkpoints, one before the corner, one after the corner, problem solved. Both of them work. As a matter of fact, it's like it's even so that you're gonna get pretty similar times, I think. What are people using here? Most of them are using F40, or at least in the friends list that I have here on that on my Noob driver. Let's see what they're using in the overall. Bit of a mix here on this and on the top. F40 seems to be the fastest. First F12 shows up in 9-10 place. All the rest is F40. The thing with the F12 is it has sort of that after steering handling as well, if I remember correctly, which also the new cars have. That makes it a bit trickier. The settings I already showed, of course, 4 months ago, but or unless we have adjusted them over time, I don't think so. For most of my cars I drive 10-9, 10-10, seeing I'm on keyboard. I want to have full traction, full stability, because otherwise slide all over the place. Some people drive on keyboard with ESP off or traction control off, they're used to it. Some people drive on manual gears. It's whatever it is that you are used to. Aero on 2, gearbox on 8, 10-10-10. The brake balance on 3, I think it is. Suspension I always put like sorta. I usually start with 2, 3, 2, 4, something like that. Make it stiffer if necessary, but camber always on 0, and the anti-roll bars 8-10, 9-10, something like that you start with. If they're not good, you can bring them down a bit, but 0-0 you definitely need, otherwise none of these cars steer. And sort of similar goes for the Veneno that we used earlier. My god. This is also that new hypercar thing. Veneno settings are a little bit different, as you can see. Because if you put the anti-roll bars on the Veneno on 8-10 or 9-10, it's as stiff as hell. So I brought it down to 5-3 to make it a bit more oversteering. But that's fine. I don't like understeer at all. And the rest is a matter of camber on 0. The brake balance, if you put parts on it, you can just look on the brake distance number. Whatever gives you the lowest number, that's where I put the slider. And for this Veneno, that turned out to be on 6. The brake power, very interesting on 0. Which basically means you have no brake power, but it still works. That's a strange one. Normally I always have that on 10 or 9 or 8 or so, but 0 for this car. Turned out to be giving the best brakes, surprisingly. Might be some sort of bug there because it is what it is. Let's have a look. Where are we? 577,000 plus 100,000 bonus. 677 we are now, and we still have 4 events to do. Oy, 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 oy. Gonna be a problem. Rallycross. We can use all cars, so we don't have to mess about with that. We're just gonna take the worst thing that we can find. Not gonna be any of these. This is the lowest I have, 101. Ford Mustang, won a couple of summits ago. We'll go with this one.
3, 2,
Not a rallycross track, which is a good thing because that's also our wall riding loop tracks. But this time it's one of those special stages, which basically is a rally stage. But unfortunately they put it in, yeah, pretty open area. It would be nice if they found some way to keep us on the dirt, then it would be a proper rally stage, but now you just like, yeah, you go from checkpoint to checkpoint basically. The fastest way you can, more or less. That's what this track is about. I like these special stages, but this one is a bit, especially towards the end, a bit too open. It's like open fields, you can just cut from one checkpoint to another. Just kill the bear. Do a summit with only stock cars. Could actually be interesting. Because then we need to figure out which are actually the fastest stock cars. That's not something that most of us know, you know. But like here, yeah, that is like how cool that dirt corner there is. You can just cut it. Same here. It's a bit too open here, this area. The first part is okay because you have there the mountains. You can go into the into all that kind of stuff there, but here you just go through the vineyard and basically it's a straight line. We made it in our stock Mustang in a 252, which is about 30 seconds something slower than we normally would do, I guess. What are people doing here? 209 even. Sub 220 for sure. 84,000, that's more like it. That's sort of what we need. Because we still have 3 to go. Hypercar, what is that? Big land, wonderful. Big land is another problem. You need a team here. A team of 4 preferably. You go head over head with slipstream. Highest top speed, probably gonna get from the Bugatti Chiron. Let's see. Bugatti Chiron Carbon Edition, I see here they did a 221 with the crew team. What are the rest doing? 220. Chiron Carbon Edition, Chiron, yeah, Chiron all over the place. These 4 guys together, more than likely. Then we have the crew guys, also team of 4, 221. And then some other guys, yeah, it's Chiron all over the place. Why Chiron? Because that thing gets the highest top speed. In Slipstream, maximum top speed 530, that's why they get that speed. If you drive solo, on the other hand, you're probably going to end up with something like the Egoista, because the Egoista is actually faster if you drive it solo. But if you do it in a team with Slipstream, where top speed matters, then the Egoista can do 519, 520 kilometers an hour. The Chiron can go over 530 kilometers an hour. So Chiron for sure. But yeah, we have to take something, whatever it is, that is in our garage. I don't have the Egoista, so I cannot use that. So I have to come up with something else. We are going to go with whatever we find. We could take the Magma edition. We have parts on it, but seeing the fact that we are doing this solo, we can never reach the times of the teams anyway. We might be able to get away with it by doing this with parts on it. It's not even a nitrochemist set I think I have on it. Probably some loot digger or something for doing New York or whatever. This is one of those wonderful tracks. Well, at least that is if you go in PvP. If it's in the list, people always select it. So apparently they find it wonderful. Majority of competitive people are like, can I have a cigarette? Because they find it boring as hell. It has like 2 corners and a half and that's it. The rest is long, straight forward. I'm guessing this is sort of like the same people that like drag racing. They probably like this track. Yeah, you say that, no corners. Should go to PvP and see how many fly out in that first corner. Or in this one. There are 2 corners which you sort of have to get your angle right, otherwise you miss them, right? This one is the second one where they usually fly out. How many times you just take Ferrari, LaFerrari in PvP and you just beat those guys with their Chirons slipstreaming because they fly out? Which of course makes no sense because... Okay. Wonderful. Gotta love these hidden rocks in the bushes there. We're not going for summit points this week, we're going for style points. Yeah, exactly. Coastal Range to LA, that's like... Well, it's not my favorite track. Probably my favorite track will be... what's it called? The Observatory Bend thing? Because there it's like... You have so many barriers and corners. Not that many cuts possible. So they're pure about driving. It's probably the best track in the game. For me, personally. And this is, yeah. Probably not the worst, because the most annoying one is probably Main Highland East. Also sort of similar. But then with a bunch of jumps and bumps in it. And what's the other one? Yeah, I have like three of these sorts of tracks, right? A 249, that's very good. Just brings us under 100,000 points. That's sort of what we're aiming for. 760,000 with the 100,000 bonus. That's 860,000. So if we score about 100,000 in the other two, we are just under the platinum. So we are on schedule for our plan here. Although we have to use some stock cars here and there. What is this? Street race? Everglades. Yeah. Another one. Bring out the teams. Slipstream track. Huracan slipstreaming probably. I'm guessing. Yeah, of course. Huracan. On my other driver, I use support GT3 RS because on my other driver, I'm sort of doing similar. Although there I have set some things and I left 2 or 3 events open. So I did it a bit different on there. But on this, we're gonna do every. So we're gonna take some street car stock, obviously. Can't do 310 something. We have to do 320, 330, something like that. What's the lowest we have? What is that? A Fair Lady or so? Yeah, why not?
3,
This thing has a level 10.
1.
Very interesting. It's gonna be a long race, my friends. One hour later, yeah, I think make it 2, I think, because this is actually a pretty long track. 3 minutes something with like maxed out car, so doesn't even have 5 gears. Really? Nope. 4 gears. 220 kilometers an hour with a level 10 car. Yeah, that is sort of half what you can do with a maxed out Huracan or Porsche or yeah. Interesting. I'm pretty sure that will help us score. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. Is that still the case? Yeah, this actually might not count. Now that you say it. You need a top 3 in these things, don't you? Oh boy. Okay, yeah. Then we go back to the summer and take something else. Yeah, totally forgot about that. You need a top 3 in this piss pot shit. Okay. Let's see if we can find something with some level on it. I knew it. It's also the cheapest car, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is not much better. It's like 15 level, 19. 225 top speed, 232. Let's see if we can find something which has some speed. They're all doing about a 255 here in this thing. Let's take the Mustang, one of the starters cars. Or we could take Fergus's car. See how that does. That's probably the only reason why that thing is in here. Fergus drives one of these.
1.
Oh, you're gonna brake check me? Really? Rodney, get back here. We need your slip, man. Look at the bunch slipstreaming. Excuse me, we need top 3. No, you are not on the picture. It's gonna be a tricky one, because there are long straights, they always have the slipstream. Now they're gonna force us here in this barrier corner on the inside, don't they? Yeah, I knew it. I knew they were trying to do that. Get out of my slipstream. Do some PvP tricks. Not looking good though. See what I mean? Because we still have 4 people here of these AI lot. We can catch up in the slipstream. We have that sharp corner at the end. They're slipstreaming each other. I think we're gonna have to give them a little friendly kiss here in this corner, I think. Excuse me. Fergus, your car is too slow, man. Problem here. Oh. Feels like PvP, you know? You go to PvP and you have those slipstream teams there. Sort of similar story. They're slipstreaming each other, they get away from you and you're like driving as hard as you can, but it doesn't matter. Because they are slipstreaming each other and you finish fourth. That's sort of similar as in PvP. Same feeling. Okay, guess we have to go up with something which actually has speed, seeing they are slipstreaming each other. That was not a good idea. What a slow car, yeah, it's Mr. Fergus's car. That's probably the reason why it's in this game. Mercedes GLC. It's actually a pretty good one if you tune it, but not if you drive it stock, as you can see, because you get beaten by Ferraris. Which means we have no score. I have to go again with something else. Do we have something that actually has some speed? Without doing too high score. That's our problem here. We can't score too high. 280. We should be able to keep up with an Audi RS5, right?
Three, two,
I think.
1.
Traffic. And now we use all the PvP tricks that we know. Drive as much on the side of the road as you can so that people behind you can't get searched through. And if they do, they fly into traffic cars and such, which are parked over there. So it's similar you do in PvP. Guide them into trees and into barriers and into cars. All those slipstream rats. Kinda normal you stay up front, I think. This is one of the better cars in the game, so even in stock it's pretty damn good. 5 seconds ahead of the pack. Because this is sort of similar, like you see all those kids out there with their Huracans in PvP and so, because you know, hey, Huracan. Audi RS5 is as good as it can get, and it also reaches 420 kilometers an hour or something. So it's only like tracks on this where you actually need the Huracan, but in all the twisty tracks and so, you don't need a Huracan. Not the best car around overall. Probably the one with the most top speed, but that's about it. And next to that, of course, one Huracan is not the other Huracan, eh? But you see that in many games. Kids take the OP car and then they go complain on the forums that they can't win the thing. The reason for that is that they're just not fast enough drivers. Yeah, Evo is still pretty good. The Wasp edition of the Porsche game is also not bad. This Audi RS5, Huracan, those are all like cars that you can race with those things against each other. Now you might see a bunch of Huracans on this track because yeah, this is, again, it's a bit twisty in the beginning, but other than that it's long straight, so it comes down to top speed eventually. Porsche GT3, yeah, me too. My other driver I used to Porsche GT3 RS. So another one of those. Can keep up. We actually beat him now. 58,000, that's good. Yeah, another one of those, like something like the observatory bend thing. You can use something like the X-Bow. It's fun car there. 819,000. With the 100,000 bonus, it's 919,000. So we can score about. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. We can even take like a max out car if we want here on this track, but we're not going to do that because. Problem number 3 in the summit. The Miami racetrack. We have the wall riding on the Escape. We have the cuts on Coastal Range to LA. And yeah, and then we have this track, which already so many times came back, and so many times it's not fixed. And it's slightly starting to get frustrating, especially for a bunch of people like myself who are constantly repeating that, fix this, fix this. It's an easy fixer. You just put one checkpoint on the hairpin that people are all cutting. We'll just find whatever it is we have parts on our garage, and we'll drive that thing. Italian, of course, there is a bit of a restriction, but other than that, you can use whatever. You can use the Gallardo, we can use the Epic 6, the Huracan Super Trofeo, or the 365 GTB4. Apparently I have parts on the Gallardo. I think that's like from one of the previous summits or whatever.
2, 1.
Turn around. Reset. 3 laps in a row. Result, about 20-25 seconds faster. Solution for this thing, very simple, very easy. We put a checkpoint here somewhere. How hard can it be? Just put a checkpoint here, the problem is solved. Put another one here if necessary. Cannot be that hard, even programming wise, cannot be that hard to put one extra checkpoint there. Why does it have to take 5 months to get fixes for this? Fun for all, Mr. Fergus. Get out of here. It's a summit. It's supposed to be competitive. Not supposed to have all this crap in here. One easy fix, one checkpoint over there, somewhere in that hairpin that I just showed over there. Because now people are just turning around here 3 times in a row. Or 4 laps, how many times is it? Oh. 3 laps I think it is. Yeah, by the looks of it on the percentages it's 3 laps, so you can do it 3 times. People are doing a time around 3 minutes, maybe just under it, normal. If they just drive the track normal. They do 230 something, 240 something if they go 3 reset cuts. And if you want to call it a competition, then time matters. So yeah, obviously people are going to do that if you don't come up with fixes. Even without, I did 2 cuts. I do a time just over 3 minutes, so. And it's not like I put much effort into it. But yeah, I couldn't put much more effort into it because 130,000 points. Which sort of brings us just under the platinum, I think. If we counted it right. Yeah. We have 1,049,000. So that's sort of the top of the gold range at this moment in time. Obviously, the score more than likely will go up. There are still 2-3 days to go, you know, so that is that for sure, right? What's your opinion on the New York cuts? Yeah, there are so many. There are even a bunch that I don't know about. that is pretty simple. If we go to, we can leave this here as it is. We have 1,049,000 points. I don't know what the times at this moment are on New York. I know we had the summit. When was it? 2 weeks ago, where we had that New York race in it, with no traffic. Of course, yeah, the record holders were there, not to do a great summit, but try to get the best time possible on that track, because it had no traffic. While in, if you do it in campaign, if you just go into activities and you do street racing, hypercar, New York, world record is 24 minutes and 16 seconds on PC. I'm assuming that's GoPro. I'm assuming. About a minute faster than anybody else. Yeah, that is GoPro. In the summit, he did 23 minutes something. Yeah, it is GoPro. But this is with traffic and all kind of stuff. In the summit, we did not have traffic, so we did like 23 minutes something. Those are a bunch of cuts and probably some resets here and there that are involved in there. So how do you fix New York? Probably with a toothpick and a lot of time. By that I mean you're gonna have to go into that track. I didn't count them yet, but I think it had about 25, 30, maybe 35 checkpoints at this moment in time. It probably needs about 100, 120 if you want to rule out all the cuts. So the thing needs way more checkpoints if you want to rule out. Of course, if they make changes on these things, that is a problem more than likely. Because like putting a checkpoint extra on that, for instance, on the race that we just did there, on this track here, if they put one checkpoint extra, it cannot be that hard of a job, right, programming wise. But it might interfere programming with something else. What they also need to do is, if they put extra checkpoints, then this cut is no longer possible. They need to clean out the leaderboard. There's no other solution for that, because then you will have times on the leaderboard which are no longer achievable. So then they have to clean out the leaderboard. I don't know, they can clean out the leaderboard. They did it already once, but then they did like all the leaderboards. I don't know if they can do like one leaderboard and then not mess with the others. It's probably gonna mess with the whole system. But yeah, if they come with all solutions, if they put extra checkpoints and cut out the reset cuts where on all these tracks, then they probably have to do like a complete clean out of the leaderboards again. But I think that all those people that want to have fixes on these checkpoints and reset cuts, that's exactly what they want, right? They don't mind doing it again. If you have a proper racetrack which you can just stay on the track or stay on the road or whatever it is, no resets possible and all that kind of stuff, then you just clean out the leaderboards. People will have no problem doing it again. Some people will complain, no doubt about it, but yeah, you cannot avoid it. People will always complain. They will always find something to be complaining. Yeah, the wall ride, that comes back to, I think our main problem that we have with this game at the moment is that the guys all the way up top, they have some sort of vision of the game for fun for all. Everybody should be able to play it. Like in the summit, everybody should be able to play the summit. And I totally agree with that. They can play all they want, but everybody should not be in the top 3,000. If it's a competition, you're gonna have people going for the top 3,000 and try to get the platinum. And the fact that they make, for instance, these exclusive summit cars exclusive, linked to the summit only, personally I find that a good thing. That is what makes people play the summit. If they would do like in the Crew 1 where you had a summit reward and then after 2 months or so it came into the dealers, yeah, then nobody's playing the summit, because then they just wait and they say, oh yeah, well, I don't put in the effort, I will just buy it in 2 months. So the fact that now these cars are exclusive, in my opinion, is a good thing. Thanks for the follow, Medic. So that is something, yeah. how it should be, but it's not something how it is. That's the problem. How's this thing in the rain, by the way? Not even that bad, by the looks of it. Slides a bit. Could have been worse. It actually has brakes. We found it. A Lamborghini with brakes. Not that they're super, but at least it brakes. Most of them don't. Yeah, it's like the problem is that's another one of these. Some of these tracks, I don't know. Is that still possible? Like here, people brake, but do you actually have to brake? Yeah. There were some of these tracks you could do like the wall ride on these touring car tracks. But I believe they fixed it a little bit, but it was good. It was in December. It was good. You lose some speed. If you did that in December, you went back to like 80 kilometers an hour or 70 maybe. Was a good fix, but then the forums, yep. The fun for all people, the casuals, the kids, those kind of guys, they went massively to the forums. They slowed down too much and cried a bit about it, and then we still have some sort of fix, but they not so severe as it was back in December or in January. They screwed it back a little bit so that it's less breaking you down when you actually wall ride. For the competitives, of course, that is like a bunch of bullshit. They should have stayed as it was in December. But yeah, we are a bit outnumbered, I think. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that there are more casuals and kids in the game than there are actually competitives. And if more people cry about wall riding being too strong, then there are people crying about wall riding need to fix. Majority wins. So I don't think they're gonna change that again. We complained about the wall ride being too ridiculous, so they fixed it in December or so. And then some other groups started complaining because it was too strong, the fix, and they wanted to wall ride, basically. That's what they're actually saying. They don't say it with that many words, but because mainly they can't take a corner, you know. Yeah, but many of these people, they come in the game and like one of the first car they buy is like some Lamborghini or whatever. The fastest thing around, but they can actually not drive. They should just drive in a Ford Mustang or whatever. So yeah, I'm afraid there's not much we can do about that. Because they fixed it and then they fixed it again, and now they're okay with it, I'm assuming. Of course we are not okay with it because it's ridiculous, but the fact that you can even wall ride like now in this escape with this dragster, that is just stupid. There's no other words for it than stupid. But some people find that fun, and that's yeah, if the guy all the way up top on the chain wants to be his game fun for all, then he's probably okay with that. And that is our problem a little bit. It is what it is, eh? That's also, he has like more or less more and more the game that he wants to have, I think. There are a lot of people also saying like, yeah, but in the Crew 1 we had like that story with the more of an underground scene. It was totally not the idea. The idea was to have something like this, with all American motorsports in an open world, fun for all, with planes and with boats and all that kind of stuff. But the only problem was that 4 years ago, technically it was not that possible to bring all that into the game. So they had to come up with some sort of backup story, I'm assuming. That was then the underground scene with gangs and bootlegging and smuggling booze and whatever not. and now he has more the game that he wants to have. So yeah, he likes the weather. We find the weather trash. He likes the fun for all aspects. We want some aspects to be more competitive. But yeah, that is like top of the range vision versus a player's vision, and we need to find each other somewhere in the middle. Occasionally we get away with that, like for instance with the blue GPS line. He did not want it in here. We wanted it. Eventually we got it, but we had to wait a couple of months for it. So that's sort of, yeah. We pressure him to get the line, and he pressures us to like, yeah, but I don't want it, so I'll give it whenever it is that he decides to give it to us. Eventually it turned out to be with the Hotshots update. But we got it now. We got the blue GPS line. Some people are, oh, it's not fine-tuned enough or whatever. Trust me, be already glad that we have the blue line. Because we had to nag about it for a long time before we actually got it. So be happy with the fact that we have it. That you can set a waypoint and actually see where you're going. Other than that, this summit cannot be over fast enough, because we have the wall right in the escape, we have the 3 reset cuts in the coastal range to LA, and we have the cut here, which also is in a way 3 cuts, because it is 3 laps on this track. So it is a bit of just forget about it. Hopefully some of you guys who missed out on the Huracan Performante the first time get the car this time. I'm putting 2 up for grabs in a way, because with both of my drivers I went for gold, so if I would do the summit like I would normally do, always in the platinum. But that's no need, because then don't get the car anyway, I already have the car, so if I win the car, what happens is then you get the price that thing is worth, you get that returned. So you get, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 700,000 bucks in return. Speaking of bucks, we have a serious problem here, obviously. With the November update coming, we already know the Porsche Carrera GT will be there. I know for a fact that will not be the only car. So yeah, there will be more cars coming. That means that we're gonna need a few million, as I already hinted a couple of weeks ago. I don't know exactly. I say 5 million, but it's possible that it's going to be 3, 3.5, 4. Who knows? There are a few. Yeah, we have that Porsche Carrera GT. That's already not gonna be that cheap. There are some other exclusive vehicles coming, more or less. Well, not necessarily exclusive, like that you cannot find them in any other game or so, but let's say more up top of the range. So there's gonna be also like 1 million or 1.2 million or 1.5 million. So if you add them all up, I think we're gonna end up on somewhere 3.5 to 4.5 million that we're gonna need, which obviously, as you can see, we do not have on this driver. Even on my main driver, I'm around 3.5, so I have 2 weeks to get like about 1 million or so extra to be safe, to be able to get those things. Other than that, it's wait and see. What else they thinking of bringing? The neons they brought in as well, right? Some other stuff coming later, obviously. You can see the live roadmap on the website. They have posted it. Update 6, more or less one that I'm looking forward to it, because it's going to bring all kind of stuff to do. That's somewhere in spring. Then update 7. Even we do not know that much about it exactly. We have a global idea, but not specific things yet. That will be in summer, July, August, somewhere. And then the next update somewhere later, within around this time, I think. Next year then, of course. That will be update number 8. But we first have to go for update number 5, which comes on November 13, as we know. That means new summit batch, which will last till spring, so that's like gonna be 15, 16, 17 summits till update number 6 probably. That thing needs to last, so those things will have some new events in there. They said we have the new neons coming in, we have some new cars coming in. Sort of like smaller updates that are coming, and The first one is in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks now. Next week we still have, what's it called, Flying Germans, where we can have another shot at the Wasp edition. Probably one of the better cars that we had from the summit so far. That Porsche Cayman Wasp edition. If you missed it, I would go for it. It's a pretty good one. Other than that, no news. I have no idea if they're gonna add some other stuff on the timeline. I don't think so. I haven't heard anything of it, but they might even surprise us sometimes, you know. Although we have all the information for what is, I know more or less what is coming from this till, let's say, somewhere around the same time next year. I more or less know what is update 5 and update 6 and update 7 and update 8, just like all the other TPC members. We all know that. Of course, we cannot reveal that. No questions about that, eh? You know how that goes. NDA and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, here it is a bit... we have this thing at Icon 1000. I guess they don't want to go too fast, because there are a bunch of people that picked up the game in the last couple of months. They are not there yet. And it will already be worse if they put more in here. But they could like set a goal for all, put something on 1500 or 2000, but the problem what they have with this timeline is, of course, you have those idiots out there doing scripts and with their Formula 1 car doing circles, and they are Icon 9999 or doing monster truck flips all day long 24/7. They are on the maximum Icon level. So if they put cars here in these, they basically they give them free cars, right? Well, some of us still need to play for that. If they would put something, let's say, on Icon 2000. But then you give then you reward those cheaters because they get all these cars immediately. So it's probably a good idea to stay away from this timeline. And maybe come up with some sort of new thing. Some new level thing or something where everybody starts the game from 1, and that would be a nice idea. But we'll see. One day or another, we're gonna have a laugh with all these script users, I think. Why is it flashing? I probably have to collect a bunch. Oh yeah. 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I have to collect all of that. The only thing I collected was a car. A bunch of parts that the last one that I collected was 900 by the looks of it. That's what you have. There is an event going now with the loot boxes, although we have noticed they are a little bit less boosted than they were before. That has to do with the fact that there are still green boxes out there now, and in, for instance, anniversary week or so in June, they also did a week of boosted loot boxes out there. Then we did not have greens. We only had blue, purple and yellow boxes out there. Now they also left the green boxes in there. But still, it should be around 1 out of 4, I believe, should be a yellow part. So it's still boosted, because that's not what you normally find. That is sure. Yeah, it's possible that they do it like that, that they want like for real special occasions. That they always keep like the extra boosted. So maybe they have something planned that they just threw this thing in sort of to prepare you for the the thing that is coming, and then gave us like some sort of, let's say, semi-boosted event now with Halloween for 2 weeks. But then it's possible that with Christmas, as you say, Roy, that they do another event of those. It's possible. Or maybe later, Valentine or Easter, who knows. We will see. There are always new players, and that's more or less why they do it. And other players can, of course, also enjoy it, because I'm pretty sure there will be a bunch of players out there who don't have every yellow part of every yellow set in every discipline yet. Now, there are things which you do not need. Some people just want to have everything to have the collection or something. But you're not gonna drive around in a drag car with a life sniffer normally, so you don't need a life sniffer. If you have a nitrochemist set or a few nitrochemist sets on a drag car, then you can put like a few different drag cars with nitrochemist. The only thing you need. Nitrochemist with pure and frenetic on the drag car, you're good to go. If you play Summit, of course, it's a bit of a different story. Then you have no other choice, because one day or another, one of these events is gonna come into the Summit. That can be aerobatics or jet sprint, or so you have no other choice. You need to have at least a nitrochemist set and a score breaker if you enjoy playing Summits, and you need to have that in every single discipline, so that you are not surprised by the fact that, oh, there's an aerobatics event in the Summit and I don't have that set, and then you suddenly need to start grinding. You need to avoid that. When the moment is there, you should have the parts. But that is what we have here. I haven't flown, I do say flown because, yeah, plane is the best way to get to these boxes. Although you can do it by car as well. Yeah, also here is something popular fame magnet thing. Once you're icon 1000, I can't care less about it. So I have 0 points on that. Gold Finder Lucky I also don't need, because I have every single yellow set available. So I put all my remaining points that I get from these icon things on the richer. More bucks the merrier, because you have all these recalibrations, you have new cars coming in. Bucks is basically the only thing what matters. Next to crew credits, which is also very popular on this driver, 8,500. We know, I already hinted that as well, you need about 100,000 at least towards update number 6. You can do that by grinding daily events every 3 days. If you sort of stack it up, you can do every 3 days 3 events, or you can do every day 1 event. I believe there is one player out there, can't recall his name anymore, but according to the depth, there's one player, for instance, who have done every single event from these daily contracts from the day they brought it in, which I think was with Hotshots as well, or even in the December update, I can't remember exactly. Every single day he has done that daily contract from the start till now. So yeah, those are all kind of data, for instance, that they can see. They can find all kind of stuff. Which also makes me think that these icon levels, for instance, those guys that are 9,990 on a not so legit way, let's put it that way. I'm pretty sure they can see that within their data somewhere. So I'm guessing that they don't really care for it. Let's collect some parts here while we are here. Yeah, it doesn't matter that much. It collects it for whatever it is that you're in this case touring car. But like I say, it doesn't matter. I have all the sets that I need. But at least it's yellow and purple. Not something we can say from the Summit. Where we're winning green and blue parts. It's another one of those things. I don't understand it. I'm guessing they're doing it for new players or so. I'm assuming. But meanwhile, 18 months into the game, in my opinion, they just should take out these green parts. Nobody's driving around with green parts. Yeah, maybe if you want to cruise around or so, but I'm sure most of you guys out there has some green parts on the side. Especially in something like Streets, if you go to PvP, you win like so many parts. But of course, yeah, that's the other problem that you have with PvP is Street and Hypercar mainly, because that's the only thing that people play there. The other playlist is with collisions on. A bunch of people don't like that. Let's see. Yo. We have to collect them to scrub them. That's basically what it comes down to. And I have the same in all disciplines, that's so it didn't matter which car or vehicle that I was in. Totally did not matter when I was going to collect them. Of course, if you're missing certain parts in a certain discipline, make sure you switch into the vehicle of that discipline before you open these timeline boxes. Because you will get them just like the PvP weekly thing. If you still need to upgrade a vehicle, make sure you're in the right vehicle before you open or collect that the PvP weekly reward or whatever it's called. If you do 5 races, you get like few yellow parts as a weekly thing, sorta. Always make sure you're in the right vehicle before you collect anything. Oh, that's that. Other than that, Black Panther drives around with green shit. Yeah, Black Panther is a very cool guy, but he just should stick to his game, more or less, which is Need for Speed. Guy always has been Need for Speed adept in a way. And then occasionally he shows up in the Crew 2. Over summer he did like 3 videos about whatever expansion that was coming. Nobody knew about an expansion, only Black Panther did apparently. And he kept talking about it, and E3 passed by, nothing, of course not. He was talking a bit out of his neck. Pretty much up to date on Need for Speed, not so much up to date on this game. That's what he is. And occasionally he shows up, and then they even take him by surprise. I saw he did a video on the Dodge Demon that dropped. Suddenly took him by surprise. That of course is because he's not up to date on anything on this game. Otherwise it would not surprise him. And that's all fine, but if you do videos, you're not up to date, and you do videos on certain things, make sure you tell people that it's speculation or that it's what you are thinking or something, which you didn't do. You just like made it sound like it was about to happen. And then you have people crying on the forums just because they saw his video, you know. You gotta have, you know, let it go. Let them be hyped. Next week there's Need for Speed. They will be pretty sure one video after another over a hyped game, which I am more than likely gonna skip. From what I've seen so far, it's a mix of 2015 and Payback. Both of them were shit games, in my opinion. So if this thing is sort of a mix of those two, which I think it is, then it's gonna be over very soon. Give it a few months and the game is dead, I think. That's my opinion on it. So I'm not gonna buy that. Not gonna play that either. They're not gonna fool me again. I bought last second Payback at the end, but that was a mistake to make. Other than that, yeah. Meanwhile, this thing is constantly flashing here. That is because of the event, of course. More boxes out there. Purple one here. This should have some yellow in it at least. There are a few options here. Two purple and a yellow. That is not that bad, because this is actually I think a tutorial box, as they call it. Sort of like you go through the story, and that's like the first time you get acquainted with these boxes, and this is one of them next to the track here. But there are some options that you can do over here for those out there doing the event. We have, for instance, you can fly around with a sniffer, of course. You fly around with a live reward sniffer to find more boxes. If you max it out with collector and sensor, you will find even more boxes on a wider range. And then if you have some sets available, you can also let's see where I have it. That's already a good question. Over here it is, I think, on my Mazda, on the Skyline. Maxed out loot digger set. Loot Digger with Gold Finder at 42% and Lucky at 178.5%. If you open one of those loot boxes with this on your car, at least the Gold Finder you need. The Lucky, yeah, it's going to give you some better parts than you normally would, but that's not that influence, I think, at this moment in time, because the boxes are boosted as they are. They give better parts as it is. So I'm thinking that the Lucky will not play that much, but you need to have the Gold Finder. If you have Gold Finder, you open one of these boxes, you're going to get more boxes from it than you normally would. Of course, you need to have these sets. That is a bit of a problem. People are flying around to get parts. They don't have this. But if you have this somewhere, like this thing, I didn't even grind for this. We just got this from one of the summits for a gold reward or something. We got this set. There are people out there very often claiming like, yeah, but it's just a set, you know. Well, it's not just a set. It's a maxed out set. You have to grind a long time. You have to recalibrate a lot, spend a lot of bucks on it to get this set. They just gave it to us from the gold from the summit. So also those sets in the summit, although it's just a gold reward, kind of important that you get them as well. Lucky 25.5 Gold Finder 6, which is maximum for both of the affixes. And then of course the Loot Digger, and they gave us 7 of those things. So yeah, it cannot go any higher. This is the best Loot Digger set you can find. So if you do events with this, you're basically going to get better loot, better quality, and you more or less going to get everything double. Because the fact that you have the Loot Digger on it doubles the, if I'm not mistaken, doubles the whole thing. Eh? Yep, multiply the loot earned by 2. So if you do an event and you win normally in that event 3 parts, because of this Loot Digger set being active, you have 7 parts of it, you're going to get 6 parts from it. Due to the Gold Finder, you're going to get 6% more loot drop, which means times 7, because you have 7 of these, so that's 42% better loot drop. That means you're going to get 4 parts more out of 10 than you normally would, because of the Gold Finder. And the Lucky increases the quality with, eventually, if you have the full set, 178.5%. So you're going to get better quality, you're going to get, instead of 3 parts, because of the Loot Digger, you're going to get 6. Because of the Gold Finder, you're going to get 7 or 8. So yeah, if you need parts, do some events, campaign-wise, or activities as they call it here, with this set on it, and the parts will fly in. But also for the current loot box event, you can use this set to open it, you will get more parts.
Word is there's some exciting new stuff waiting for us back at HQ.
Other than that, yeah, this driver, there's no way, I'm not playing enough on this driver to be able to do the grind for those crew credits and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, when the moment is there, I'll probably just get them on my main driver, or just buy a pack of 100,000 crew credits on this driver. We will see. That is also a possibility, yeah. But if you don't want to spend money on it, you can grind by doing daily contracts. I probably still have 3 running here at this moment. Let's have a look. Hello, mister. Anything? Yep. Drive on the wrong side of the road for 4 kilometers. So, yep. 1500 grabs. Just have to drive a few miles on the wrong side of the road. Or a few kilometers. This is a 5000 crew credit one, but you have to drift 15 kilometers or 15,000 meters in free drive. You can do that just using a drift car, or if you don't want it. Complete any photo OP event, that is kind of a strange one. Oh no, okay, yeah, I understand. I'm on my second driver, I don't have all pictures yet, so this is one. If you have all the photo album events done, this is not something that's gonna roll for you, ever. But if you don't like this, it's very simple, then you re-roll and get something else. 2000 followers in free drive with a ground vehicle, that's not that hard to do. So yeah, that's already 8000 crew credits up for grabs here. And in 3 days time I can come back and do it again. So by spring, by update 6, getting yourself around 100,000 crew credits should not be that hard to get. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can just buy it when the time is there as well. We will see. But it's not like you have to buy it. Of course, what and how and so I cannot say that. I'm already hinting probably too much than I should have, but I find as a player those are things that I would like to know. If I need bucks for something future, I would like to know it. If I need crew credits for something future, I would like to know it. They should give people a chance to get there. That's why I'm hinting it. Probably don't agree with it, but it is what it is. Anything else here? Let's see, what's this? King of Mayhem? Yeah, that's not my thing. Very nice for kids, whatever. I don't have anything with it. So whatever is in here, a bunch of demolition derbies. Yeah, fine, just keep it. Don't need it, don't want it. So chic. We already have the CX-75. I don't need the Aston Martin. I don't need the Bentley. Also this one. Keep it. Unless one of the upcoming summits we need one of these vehicles, then I probably have to buy them. That's how it goes. I have no intention of getting all cars on this driver. Other than that, we are done for this week, I think. We are good to go. I don't even have to come back on this driver, which means I can go back to my other driver, because my other driver I let 3 or 4 events open. Yeah, here there's no way. I can just leave this be as it is. There's no way that from this moment in time till Tuesday that the gold is gonna go to 1 million points. And I have 1,049,000, so that's fine. We are good to go here. We have gold. We don't want platinum. That's fine. My other driver, not so sure. Can I see myself here? That would be nice. Yes, I can. 907,000, so even there I'm still good to go, but I have 3 or 4 events open there. So in case I drop out of gold with that driver, although even with 907,000 I kinda doubt it, I can still do an extra event and still be in gold. You can control it pretty easily, your score. Just don't let it come too close, of course. Like if you want platinum, if you're doing this thing now and you're like, oh yep, and you come up with 1.1 million points, at this moment in time, it's not going to be good enough. You might be in the platinum now, we're here on Saturday evening, but by Tuesday evening, you will not be. I think we came in, meanwhile, to a point that you need, to be sure of platinum, you need somewhere around 1,250,000, maybe even 1,300,000. Because more and more people will have yellow sets, more and more people will have score breakers, and so on. So the score is only going to go up. So if you're like a 1.1 million player, you either going to have to grind for better sets or need to get a little bit better in the game, because otherwise you're going to miss on all future platinums. It's only going to get higher and higher the more people full sets are available. Yeah, you can do summits whenever you want. I can do a summit on. That's sort of like what Accor is doing now. He's doing the summit as soon as it opens, 6 a.m. For us Europeans, 6 a.m. In the morning. Now because it's winter time, it's 5 a.m. even. We can immediately do that summit. We score 1,400,000 or whatever. We don't have to come back at all. We are guaranteed platinum. If you score high enough, you're guaranteed platinum. But if you score around 1.1, 1.2 million in the beginning of the week, you're gonna have to come back, because then you're gonna have to see if it's good enough by the end of the week, which normally it isn't. Last week for the Evo, I believe it was eventually 1,200,000 something for the platinum. Now we are not there yet, but it's only Saturday. A lot of people are playing on Saturday, and it's Saturday evening in Europe. Saturday evening still needs to come in the States. And then on Sunday also a lot of people play. And then you have also all kind of people that they keep 1 or 2 events open for Monday and Tuesday. So those are suddenly the scores go up like crazy the last 2 days. If you think like, how is that possible? Yeah, it's pretty simple. There are people out there who keep one event open, which they only do on Monday or on Tuesday. So this 1,078,000 here on PC, that's going to be up 1.2, 1.250 by Tuesday evening for sure. So if you want a Huracan Performante, that's the score you're going to need on PC. As simple as that. And the same will be next week. But then we're playing for the Cayman GT4 Wasp edition. And some yellow tires and some boosted parts. Yeah, not sure what they're going to do with that. Because this is not a set, they're going to give us 3 or 4 parts. And after that, where are the rest of the parts? They were in one of these summits here, but they are not going to repeat these, so not sure. Either we are going to lose these parts in such a way that we will not have the full set, or they put in one of the new summits, they put the rest of the parts. That's also possible, of course. From this moment and the rest of the calendar that will show, probably next week you will see another one show up after the player's choice. Forget about it. 13 November is the new summit batch, but that still needs to be loaded in. So these are just placeholders till they have loaded everything into the system, which will be next week or the week after that, I'm assuming. That will be it for me. For the Noob driver at least. So we can quit the game and maybe have a look on the next one. That's what we will do. Bunch of pop-ups always if you shut this down. I will see you guys in the next one, whenever that is. Either the Crew 2 or the Division, or maybe even some other game. One of the days I might also do Euro Truck because 1.36 update is coming into play. Have a look around Corsica and see what else they brought in that game. Next to that, for this series, next week, Noob does Summit next Saturday around 8:30 as usual. We'll see you guys then, and bye for now.